way there to read everybody the Riot Act, right? And so what did the Americans do? Like 2 minutes after he gets on his flight or wheels up, the Americans announced that a ceasefire has been reached. But nobody agreed to a ceasefire, and it took several hours for the prime minister in his plane going to New York to get out a statement from the plane that no, in fact, Israel had agreed to no ceasefire deal, and he left the country with orders in the hands of the military that they have to continue to fight with maximum power, as they have been for the past week. It was all a lie, but the United States puts this out. And before the prime minister could say it's not true, you had, and I'm talking across the political spectrum, people denouncing the idea that Israel is going to stand down. And why is that? It's because it's so blatantly obvious that we can't. That if people are supposed to be allowed to return to their home, it's not under a security guarantee of the UN or Hezbollah or the Biden administration. It's only the IDF that can protect the citizens of Israel in their homes. And the only way we can do that is by taking those 5 divisions that are perched on the border and moving into Lebanon and securing a security zone in Lebanon. Right now, northern Israel is Hezbollah's security zone, preventing Israel from using, a third of its territory with any security whatsoever. They're the ones that are threatening our refineries and our chemical plants and our natural gas installations, platforms, and our people.
You've heard of ChatGPT.
It's not us. We didn't threaten Lebanon. We left Lebanon 24 years ago. I would say stupidly, but all the same. You can't deny we don't want anything from Lebanon. But they never, ever accepted any ceasefire with us. They continued attacking us from the minute that we left. And they've reached this point where they came together with 200,000 rockets and missiles of all ranges, capable of hitting every site in Israel more than once, right? And we're told that we're supposed to stand down and let them rebuild, because what is 21 days? Hamas would give, I don't know how many hostages in order to get a 21-day ceasefire from Israel, because what are they going to do? Well, is Israel going to be able to bomb the rat line? No. Are they lying on their backs, panting and hysterical because everybody around them is dead? Yes. So in 21 days, you get to calm down. You get to replenish your stocks from Iran going through Syria and Iraq, right? You get all your missiles rebuilt, regrouped. You're able to, get in the replacements for all the people who are dead and get your lines organized, right? And then you're back and you're ready. You're in the driver's seat again. So why would Israel agree to this? Because Iran wants it? Iran wants it, right? And so those are the ones who are asking for it. Iran, Hezbollah, they suddenly want it. We get them by the throat and they say, ceasefire, ceasefire. And then the entire world comes in and says, yes, yes, ceasefire. And, and I wish that was all that the Biden administration was doing, but unfortunately it's not. Senator Cotton and Minority Leader Mitch McConnell wrote a letter to the White House where they were talking about the fact that the United States is continuing their partial arms embargo against Israel. And I just want to play a clip from Tom Cotton and Jake Tapper talking about what it is that the United States is denying us. So let's just go to Senator Cotton for a second.
Israel has every right to defend itself and to go on offense against a terrorist organization in Lebanon, and we need to give them the tools to defeat both Hamas in the south and Hezbollah in the north and defend their own people.
Is the United States not giving tools that Israel needs?
No. First off, they're not giving them the political and diplomatic support that they needed from the very beginning. If rather than trying to put constant pressure on Israel, more pressure than we put on Iran and its terrorist networks, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris had simply adopted a policy to let Israel win and back them to the hilt, the war in Hamas probably would have ended a long time ago. Earlier this year, there was a de facto partial arms embargo on Israel, not just the 2,000-pound bombs, which they do need to hit Hamas in its deep and buried tunnels, but mortar rounds and artillery shells and small arms ammunition. Now they even have a tractor embargo in Israel. So Israeli soldiers are going to be exposed to minefields that can't be cleared because the Biden-Harris administration won't allow them to get access to the tractors and the bulldozers they need to clear those minefields. So consistently, the Biden-Harris administration has put more pressure on Israel than it has put on Israel's enemies. That's probably had the effect of prolonging the fight.
Right. So they're denying us the MK-84 bombs, which are the bunker buster bombs that Kamala Harris has already said she's so excited that she's not giving us. The Apache attack helicopters, which you need for they're essential for fighting in Lebanon. They're worth, like a battalion of tanks. They can save so many lives of Israelis because they're perfect for that trait. You're not going to get it. Can't have that. Caterpillar D9 tractors. Yeah, let's just make Israelis die in landmines because, AOC wants to boycott Caterpillar if they continue. Because the left sucks and because they politicized, these armaments that are going to Israel because they're effective in fighting terrorism. So suddenly they're not allowed, right? Because you don't even mention Hezbollah and Iran when you're talking about a ceasefire between Lebanon, which is the aggressor, which they controlled and swallowed whole, decades ago. You don't even mention them. By the way, they're not mentioned in 1701 either. That was Condoleezza Rice diplomatic genius, along with her junior partner, Tzipi Livni, who's the most incompetent foreign minister Israel has ever had. At any rate, so that's what we have with them. We have an arms embargo, but that's not it. Because they're also looking forward. They want to make sure that we know that they hate us, right? So this week, President Biden met with the president of the UAE, Mohammed bin Zayed, MBZ. And then what do they talk about? Two-state solution is the only framework for resolving the conflict, Biden and UAE later say after meeting. What's interesting about this write-up is that they talk about, the framework for two-state solution. And one of the things that they mentioned there was the Arab Peace Initiative. It says here, this is their statement. It says the leaders expressed their commitment to the two-state solution, wherein a sovereign and contiguous Palestinian state lives side by side in peace and security with Israel as the only way to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in accordance with internationally recognized parameters in the Arab Peace Initiative. What's so interesting is that the Arab Peace Initiative is like this joke. It's not a joke.
This is what your dishwasher looks like after 1 year.
It's like this joke. It's not a joke. It's a racket. In 2002, Thomas Friedman basically made it up during a visit with the Saudi King Fahd. And the Arab Peace Initiative, it was later in the middle of Israel's counterterrorism offensive in Judea and Samaria in April of 2002. You had this meeting in Beirut of the Arab League, and this fake plan that essentially Tom Friedman wrote was adopted as the Arab Peace Initiative. And what is this plan? The plan is that Israel withdraws from Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, at the time Gaza, that we allow unrestricted immigration of foreign-born Arabs in the millions to Israel under the so-called right of return, that we kick all of the Jews living in Judea and Samaria, Jerusalem and back then Gaza, out of their homes. That's now over 800,000 people, and, transfer it all to the Arabs. And the foreign-born Arabs coming in under the right of return, they can live anywhere they want. In other words, all the Arab Peace Initiative is a way of overrunning Israel and destroying it. And so they're saying that the basis of the two-state solution is a plan for Israel's dissolution, for Israel's dismantlement, for Israel's annihilation. And it just, why not? Because it's true. A two-state solution is, in fact, the final solution to the Jewish problem in the land of Israel. You want Israel to be destroyed? All right, we'll see what happened when you had a mini Palestinian state in Gaza on October 7th. They committed a genocide of the Jewish communities of the Gaza envelope on October 7th. That's what happened. Imagine if you have that, 100, 200-fold in Judea and Samaria and Jerusalem. You know exactly what would happen. By the way, so do they, which is why they said the Arab Peace Initiative. They're not even trying to hide the fact that they're doing this because they, they don't actually support Israel. But according to one diplomatic official, Israel has destroyed about a half of the long-range missiles and about 3/4 of the short-range missiles that Hezbollah had on the eve of the war. So that's a lot. And what is most important that the source said, and this was in the aftermath of the massive air campaign that began a couple of days ago, said that the most important thing that Hezbollah has lost is their ability to launch in a coordinated manner hundreds of rockets and missiles simultaneously. And that, of course, had been all along their strategic concept, which was that they were going to be able to paralyze Israel's anti-missile defense systems, the David Sling and the Iron Dome, by swarming Israel with hundreds and hundreds of projectiles at once. So what we found yesterday, the day before, etc., is that Hezbollah is extending the range of the firings much more to the area around Haifa and the Gulf of Haifa, the Lower Galilee, the Jezreel Valley. There was one intercepted over Tel Aviv yesterday, Tuesday. So we've had an increase in the number of hits, but we haven't seen hundreds of them at once. We've seen over 100 shot at Israel in a day, but we haven't seen 600. And it's not for lack of desire. It's not that Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah doesn't want to go ahead with this. He clearly does. But as the diplomatic official speaking to the media said, he no longer has the capacity to carry out that kind of coordinated attack. He doesn't have commanders here. Just look at this graphic. See how Israel has decimated the senior leadership ranks of Hezbollah. It's just an important, just look at it for a second. Look at how many are gone, right? They've got nobody. Basically, it's Hassan Nasrallah and one guy, right? That's it. And by the way, the beeper attack, so we're talking about something like 2,600 mid-level and senior Hezbollah and Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps operatives in Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq. They all came out, which just shows that this is all one organization. They're using the same beepers, right? They're getting the same announcements, right? So they are out of commission. They either lost their eyes when they're looking at it, lost their hands, they can't fight anymore, or, lost their privates. Apparently, about 1,000 of them, they'll get up to heaven or hell or whatever with their 72 virgins, and the 72-year-old virgins will just be laughing at them. At any rate, we're talking about a significant diminution of the Hezbollah war fighting capabilities and winning. And in Lebanon, look at Hezbollah. They're on the ground bleeding. What do? You kick them until they can't get up again, because Hezbollah has one goal: the annihilation of the Jews. And by the way, the annihilation of the United States and the entire free world, which is why they have terror cells in every single country, in Europe, in the United States, in Canada, in Latin America, and even in Asia, because that's their goal. What do they say in Iran every day? What do they say in Beirut every day? Death to America, death to Israel. And here's the United States saying, no, we're going to protect you. We're going to keep you going. Israel, it has never been clearer. When we turned our attention to Hezbollah, when we were able to finally focus on Hezbollah, the big threat, 30 times the size of Gaza, right? This war was immediately transformed from a war only for Israel's survival to a war that protects the entire world from jihad. And obviously Iran, and this is my last point, of course they want a ceasefire now, because Hezbollah and Israel's fear, the fear that had been instilled in our hearts regarding Hezbollah for 30 years, right? That's Iran's insurance policy. So long as Israel believes that we will face an existential assault from Lebanon if we attack Iran's oil installations and their nuclear installations and their ballistic missile installations, we won't hit them, right? Because we'll be afraid that Hezbollah in the north is just going to lay waste to our cities and our people. But if they can't, then the path is open to Isfahan, to Natanz, to Qom, and to the rest of those areas that we have to attack in order to remove the menace of an Iranian regime with nuclear weapons and an absolute will to use them to kill every Jew in Israel, to destroy this country, and to assert their regional hegemony, which of course raises the question, what in the hell are the UAE and all the rest of them thinking when they're suing for a ceasefire? Don't they see we're serious? There's a reason that the public went nuts, and I'm talking about talking heads who hate Netanyahu and hate absolute victory and want us to lose so that he gets ousted from power. Even they were up in arms saying, we can't have a ceasefire because everybody understands it's finally time. The moment has arrived. We can do this. We got it. We can take care of Hezbollah. Netanyahu is speaking before the General Assembly, I think tomorrow, Friday. I can only imagine what he's going to say. All he has to do is remind the nations of the world, as Churchill reminded the United States after the fall of France, right, that the world's future is in our hands. It was in Britain's hands in 1940. It's in the hands of the State of Israel today in post-October 7th reality. Our survival is on the line, and that's why absolute victory, which we now see is a possibility, is what we're seeking. And if we achieve our goals, the world is going to be safe. Why is it? How can it possibly be that everybody wants us to stand down? Do they have a death wish? Is their hatred of Israel, their hatred of Jews, so great that they can't even see the basic reality that it's their lives as well that will be safeguarded? I leave you with that question, but I also tell you the answer. We're not standing down. I'll talk to you soon.